Hey everybody, Tim and Chucky here for another DC animated review. The 15th movie. 15.
Whee!
Like Chucky is burning out. he's a little tired of him.
I know, I'm kidding.
But there's the Moo Moo in this one. Who doesn't love the Moo Moo? So this is The Dark Knight Returns. So this is an important one to me because it is the first two-part movie out of like 40 movies, almost, roughly. Like, they've only done two-parters. This is the first two-parter. I love this movie. I remember as a teenager when I read the comic, it fucked me up. I mean, for lack of a better like phrasing, like it messed me up pretty bad, like to read as a teenager. What'd you think?
It's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I'm getting burned out on superheroes.
I got you.
It's just that.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You've done 15 movies so far, so I mean that's
more superhero movies than I've watched in like 3 years.
and we've done it in like 3 months, so that's pretty good. So this is based off a comic book from 1986. It's pretty original. The only two real voice actors that stand out is Peter Weller as the voice of Batman, who's the voice of RoboCop, and Michael Emerson. Most people know him from Lost. He was also in like the first Saw movie and stuff. He was the Joker. Everything about this movie stands out to me, from like the computer override, Gordon's retirement. It's been 10 years since we've seen Batman. So even like Batman Beyond is based off of this. The Dark Knight Returns with the Ben Affleck being retired is based off of this. Everything. Gordon knowing who Batman is. God, there's so much. Dick and Jason are mentioned. Alfred's still alive.
I shook my head at that.
Really?
Yes. Batman was not 15 when Alfred was introduced to him.
So
like,
I assume...
how the fuck is he alive?
I assume, let's say like, oh God, I don't even know. If Batman retired when he was 50...
The Monarch program.
And then this would be 60, so Alfred would be like 80 or 90-ish.
No, they're doing the Monarch program, bro.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
So this is basically broken up. I think they did a great job. The first movie is based off of Harvey Dent and then the Mutant King, and then the second movie is based off of the Joker and then Superman. So I guess for you, we'll break it up into those quarters. So the first part, the mutant, for Harvey Dent, what did you think about the Harvey Dent storyline? Where like they reconstruct his face so he looks normal, but now he thinks he looks mutated on both sides. It's kind of a psychosis thing.
See, that's funny though, because there's a weird thing about that. It's like all these people in the world think that scars are ugly, right?
Okay.
He got used to his scars.
Right.
He thought they were normal. They fixed his scars. He fucking had a psychotic break.
Mm-hmm.
Because they tried to fix him.
Right. Okay. Keep going.
Why?
Okay.
No, really. Like, why do these things happen? It doesn't make any sense.
I gotcha.
But, you know, there's just something weird about that. I don't know.
And it's I think they did a great job with that, where he becomes...
That could have been a longer story, for sure.
And so it goes from like where he used to flip his coin and it would be scratched on one side but fine on the other.
It was double-headed.
And now it was scratched on both sides.
But it also had a tails.
Right. And so that was kind of the thing, where now Harvey Dent views himself as being scratched. Doesn't matter heads or tails or what, he is scratched.
He considered the normal skin scar.
Right.
Interesting.
So it's kind of an interesting story. Like I really like it.
I relate to that because I'm into the scarification.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we got that, and then my favorite story is probably the Mutant King, where
I love the actor choice on that one. It's Stevie's dad from Malcolm in the Middle.
It's not, but it sounds like...
It so fucking is.
It sounds like...
I will Google
Bryan
it.
Cranston?
No, it's Stevie's dad.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
It's the kid in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The one that talks real slow, who's got the fucking inhaler because he can't say more than 4 words without...
I'm just going to let that one go. I don't know. You've watched more of it than I have, so I'll take your word.
I don't know what else he's been in.
So, oh god, now that just threw off my whole thing. We got Carrie Kelly, we got the nicotine gum.
Oh yeah, because you can't have smoking in this day and age.
So okay, mutants at the dump. So that has caused kind of some controversy, like because they've talked about like when they made Batman versus Superman and stuff like that. Like Batman's using guns, and Zack Snyder's like, he used guns in The Dark Knight Returns, and they go out of their way to be like, he's shooting us with rubber bullets, because that's where that came from. Like, and my all-time favorite line of like, this isn't a mud hole, this is an operating table, and I'm the surgeon. Oh my fucking god! Like, it's terrifying.
I would have stood up and walked out of the theater.
Really?
I would have just been like, that is absolutely fucking outrageously cheesy.
I love it. It's my favorite line ever. And what's funny is, so we have talked about like what to do after we're done with these movies, if we ever finish these movies, because you're burning out. So we're going to take a break after this one. But we've talked about doing like the Timverse and doing the Batman animated series and Batman Beyond and stuff.
I don't know if we'll make it through that, to be honest, at this rate. Like, I don't know.
Like,
I'm not making any promises.
But, I mean, they actually do a remake of this episode now.
Oh, interesting. So that could be interesting to watch as a side note to this episode.
It's great.
That's what I mean. Is like we watched that episode, and maybe not the whole series, just to make a side note on this.
Right.
That would make no fucking sense.
But it's great. And it's actually, so that episode is actually what the Gotham Knights episode is based off of. So there's an episode, it's a 20-minute episode, but 3 kids all tell their own version of Batman. And one of them is clearly based off of the 60s Batman.
You showed me this. This is the short, right?
No, now see, that's what that's based off of.
This is a different thing?
One of them is based off of something else, and then one of them is completely based off of this Batman. So, I don't know, maybe I'll show you that, like, in private, but it's fantastic. It's so good. And that's basically the whole, like, the first part, and then the mutants become, like, the Sons of Batman. From there, we go to the second part, where it's all about the Joker and Superman. I love the Joker.
The Joker is spot on.
This is one of my favorite Jokers, where he's in the white tuxedo.
That's exactly how the Joker would come out of a coma.
I actually, there's pops.
Or a vegetated state.
There are actually, like, Funko Pops just off of this comic book. Like, and I have the white tuxedo Joker pop and stuff like that. The Carrie Kelly, Robin pop, stuff like that. Because that Joker pop, like, I
bet that got expensive quick.
I don't know a better way to describe it, but he's gorgeous. Like, you know how, like, in anime and stuff like that, where they're like, I'm going to be pretty, and then they get this long face and the narrow lips, and they're just like... And, I mean, that's what the Joker looks like. The Joker is beautiful. Like, he's so handsome, and, like, he's thin with his tuxedo. Like, he doesn't look disfigured, and he doesn't look scary or anything. Like, he just looks like hello, I'm going to kill you. Blah! And you're done. And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm dead now. Like, he's so well put together. I don't know, that's just my take on it.
Someone's obviously fangirling.
I'm completely fangirling over the Joker for this. Like, he's so good. We see a little bit of Selena Kyle, which, I don't know, she's just kind of thrown in there.
Is that supposed to be Catwoman?
That's Catwoman, yeah.
Oh,
where she's...
Side note on that, what the fuck? Time did not hear her well.
And that's literally what Batman says, is the years have not been kind to you.
Wait, they weren't fucking that whole time?
No, evidently not. They broke up at some point.
He did it for a reason.
So the original comic book was written by Frank No, it wasn't. It was, oh god, I just lost the author. But anyway, so he wrote the trilogy that was loosely connected. That was Batman Year One, All-Star Batman, and then this one. So we watched Batman Year One. We watched that movie. That technically he actually wrote after this one. Frank Miller. He actually wrote this comic book after Year One, but they made the movie first, whatever. In the movie, Jim Gordon is cheating on his wife. His wife is Barbara Gordon with the other detective. In this movie, he's married to that second detective, Sarah.
Yeah.
So he actually ends up getting a divorce and then married to this other woman. So that's kind of interesting. We see Hal Jordan, or no, they bring up Diana, but we don't actually see her. They bring up Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, but we don't actually see him. And they bring up Oliver Queen, who's missing his arm. Now, in the comic...
Don't explain that at all.
They don't. Which I thought was interesting, because I swear to God, in the comic, it's implied that Superman ripped his arm off. Because Superman's like a man of the government at this point. And so, that I really thought was interesting, because I was like, did I imagine that? So now I have to go back and read the comic. The whole like big fight with the Joker scene is actually what messed me up as a teenager. Because as a teenager, I was actually that kid. I would go to Borders, because Borders no longer exists. I would go to Borders and I would sit and I'd just read their comics. So I wouldn't have to pay for it. I'd use them like a library. And I had a book, and it was like, did you know in X and X comic book, the Joker actually died? And I was like, what? And so I looked up The Dark Knight Returns, and where the Joker actually like breaks his own back, where you see the Batarang in his eyeball and stuff like that. And then the Joker like basically breaks his own back.
I think he broke his own neck and this.
Yeah.
Because Batman broke it, but he was obviously still alive, and then he turned his head and killed him. Like, I would say that killed himself. He knew that was going to kill him.
Exactly. And I was like, that's beyond fucked up. Like, and as a teenager, I was like, this is sick. And I think that's kind of what got me into comic books to begin with. Like, this was the first real comic book story I read. From there, we go into like the crazy shit with like Superman sucking the energy out of everything, Batman on a horse, and then it wraps up pretty quick with like Superman faking his own death, or Batman faking his own death,
and then starting a fucking Batman cult,
and then starting a cult. So,
not gonna talk about that.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Like, there's a lot to dissect with this story.
Would you rather be a cult leader or a follower?
Oh, a leader for sure.
I think I'd rather follow.
Really? You know, I don't know. Like, for years, I thought that I would be great as a manager in retail, and I spent 15 years to get to a manager, 14 years to be a manager, and then when I finally got there, I was like, this is the worst fucking decision of my life, and I've spent the last year getting out of it, and then I finally got out of it, and I have never felt better now that I'm not a manager. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? You might be right. Maybe...
I feel like you'd have more fun as a follower.
Yeah, you might be right. I feel like the correct answer is to be a leader, but I think after being a leader, I think a follower, like, just sitting in the back, keeping my head down.
So much stress working on being a leader.
So much less stress. Just sit in the back, being like, go team. So, yeah, you know, I feel you there. So, for you, after this movie came... So, this comic book came out in 1986. The original comic actually came out in 1986. The sequel came out, The Dark Knight... So, this is The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Strikes Again came out in 2001. Okay. The Dark Knight, The Master Race... So part 3 came out in 2015, which I've actually read that. That's a good one. And then, I didn't even know this, The Dark Knight, The Golden Child came out last year, 2019. So there are actually multiple parts in this story. I loved this movie. I thought this movie was great, and I would love for them to do The Dark Knight Strikes Again, because that story... Actually, so for this one, they talk about Diana, Wonder Woman, but you actually see Superman, and you see the Green Arrow, and that's it. The Dark Knight Strikes Again, you see the Atom, you see Diana. Wonder Woman does show up eventually, And then, like, the Flash shows up, the Green Lantern, I think, shows up. Like, the Strikes Again has a huge cast. And a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. So I would love for them to make a sequel to this. For you, I don't know, you weren't hot on this one. Like, was it the animation style? Was it the storytelling?
I think it was the storytelling.
Was it too much drinking? Is it too late at night?
4 beers.
Your 4 beers at midnight, like, what's... I mean, it
just wasn't that great.
I don't care. What about it didn't you like? What could have made this movie better?
I think, really, the animated part's getting to me.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay, so the animation's kind of bugging you. So it doesn't matter like what type of animation, just the fact that it's animated.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that, like, because like watching animated shit used to not bother me, but like now I'm starting to think it is, and I'm like,
okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong. with
No, my
that.
brain is just like completely fucking.
You are in a safe space. You are okay. Okay. Is there a specific character you would have wanted? Oh, I'm not even going to spoil it. Is there a character you would have wanted to have seen show up for a future Batman, a retired Batman? What character would you have been like, you know what? I want to see this character as an old person that they didn't do.
Mr. Freeze or the Penguin.
Okay. So in Batman Beyond, Mr. Freeze is in there. The Penguin would be interesting. Okay.
I want to see a really fucking old Danny DeVito.
Nice. Okay.
I like ancient.
You broke me. I wasn't ready for that part. Okay. Okay. I gotcha.
There's no better Penguin.
No, I 100% agree with that.
No
like,
better Penguin.
Out of every live action Batman movie, Batman Returns is my favorite Batman movie. So I'm with you with that one. Okay. So overall, any other closing thoughts? Something you would have made better? Something that you absolutely hated? Anything?
I thought the mutants were kind of dumb.
Okay.
But
like, what about them? Like
they're a weird villain in the sense. Like, I've never seen mutants in Batman, but I also didn't read the comics ever.
Okay.
So
I'm with you.
It's a strange villain to see for the first time.
So I'll tell you right now. So 1986. You got to keep in mind that's when this was made. So their goal was very like the Clockwork Orange, which is why they talked weird and why they didn't make 100% of sense.
I swear to God, they were all trying to talk like Drunk Bender.
And that's kind of their goal, was to be like, what is the hip slang going to sound like in the future? That was their goal.
Slice and dice.
Slice and dice. Chicken legs. Like, have you ever read A Clockwork Orange?
No.
So if you actually read the book A Clockwork Orange, they talk in so much slang that there's a dictionary in the back of the book. Like, that's kind of the goal for this one. So, okay.
What is the dictionary at the back of the book?
And that's the thing. So there's a movie for The Clockwork Orange, and you don't get a dictionary. You just have to watch the movie.
And hope you understand.
And by the time you get... And that's the thing with the book, is when you first start reading the book, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? And so you go to the back of it and you read the dictionary. By the time you're like halfway through the book, you're like, okay, I get what they're saying. And so you're not looking at the dictionary anymore. When you're watching the movie, is it The Clockwork Orange? Yeah, it's The Clockwork Orange. When you're watching the movie, you're just hoping for the best. You're like, I hope I get this. And then, sure enough, by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying. So for the same movie, when you're like, they're slice and dice and chicken legs, like you're like, okay, you don't make any fucking sense, but clearly you want to like touch that girl or you want to kill somebody. Like you get what they're saying, yeah. If not 100%.
Contextual.
Yes, exactly. You kind of get the context of what they're implying. So
it's like squanching. That's for the smart fans.
I'm gonna leave squanching alone because That's a whole new review series that is yet to debut.
That's why I said it's for the smart viewers.
But for those who know what squanching is, it is coming soon.
It's the same thing.
But okay, so the mutants. Anything else? Anything you would have liked to have seen? You didn't like to see? No.
It's fucking Batman, dude. It's the same story. Well, I guess this is just a different story compared to what I've seen in most Batmans.
But, okay.
Even in comparison to like the live action movies.
Yeah.
There was a lot different
and
shit going on.
They have talked about doing a Batman live action movie with like Michael Keaton, the original Batman actor,
as old Batman,
playing old Batman.
That would be cold.
Yeah.
I'd pick that.
Yeah. So okay, any closing thoughts? Anything you
Watch
liked?
it.
Yeah, watch
It was
it.
pretty good. It wasn't awful. Like, it wasn't Wonder Woman. Or
As
that
far as, like,
fucking
a
Justice League movie.
As far as a 2-part, do you think it could have been a 1-part? Do you like it as a 2-part? Because this is the first 2-part. Like, to me, it needed to be a 2-part.
It seemed like it was melded pretty well.
Okay. So it
didn't really feel
flowed.
like a 2-part.
Like, even if you didn't love it, it did feel like it
like
flowed well.
Movie, yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that. Okay. So, for those who have seen it, what did you guys think? For those who have read the comic, what did you think? Strikes Again, Master Race, Golden Child. Do you guys want to see those as comics? Let me know. Chucky and I will see you again. Hopefully, if he doesn't just fucking throw in the towel, we will see you guys again next time for Superman Unbound.
Oh, fuck.
Right?